Hello and welcome back to ArxangelRC. Today is a day for another plane review, although this one is of the micro variety, and in particular the Volantex Mini Trainstar ready-to-fly model. Links are in the video description. This is a brushed micro version of their super successful larger Trainstar model, and this one even comes with integrated stabilization that will not only counter wind gusts, but will also keep the plane level. Add to that the very appealing price, and you have a very good deal for a beginner model. You also have the option to switch off the stabilization, so you will be able to go from a beginner to an advanced level of flying with only one plane without risking and breaking larger and more expensive models. In this set you also get a spare prop, a battery and a charger for the battery, so all you need to do is get a few AA batteries for the transmitter and you're good to go. Sounds like a good deal to me. Naturally, stabilization does very little in calm weather except for the auto level feature, so I decided to test this one out in some wind, and as it turned out, every time I went to fly it there was lots of wind and this little guy was shaking like crazy, but the stabilization held it in place well and made flying it in windy weather so much easier than it would have been without it. Now, I know this may appear weird seeing this plane shake quite as much, but keep in mind that relative to the plane's weight and size, this wind was probably 100 times more turbulent and stronger than it would have been for my Clouds or Eve 2000. You are literally seeing the stabilization fighting to keep the plane not only level, but also generally following the same track without being thrown around like a feather, and I would say it is doing a damn good job. The few times I turned off the stabilization, handling this thing became an instant nightmare. In calm weather it would definitely not behave like this. Sadly, I did not get a chance to fly it in calm weather. This being a 3-channel model, you get elevator and rudder control but no ailerons, which is not a bad deal because you still get to fly it as if it had ailerons. So moving on to a larger model down the line would not be a problem, although you will have to then also master coordinated turns, but that is a thing to worry about when one gets a bit more experience under one's belt. For the time being, this little unit is pretty fun to fly, especially if there's some wind around. At times I was able to almost stop it in place and sort of make it hang there. Sadly, not the most precise and calm hang, but it is definitely a welcome change from the predominantly FPV flying that I've been doing for some time now, where I don't get to play with planes quite like this. The fact that the plane is super small and light also means that crashing it will probably not result in any damage, and you can just pick it up and go flying without thinking twice about it. As far as I can tell, the range of the radio is pretty good for line of sight flying, but since I'm planning to put a micro FPV camera on it at some point, I guess I will truly test it then. If need be, I can always try to bind it to my IRX4 multi-protocol module and hopefully increase that range. There are, however, two things that I have found to be a little bit problematic with this model. First, because of the strong wind and the excessive shaking, the motor actually came out of its mount because it is friction fitted inside the plane, so was no longer able to spin the prop, and that is how I found out the plane wouldn't do very well at slope soaring. To fix that, I had to gently and precisely cut an opening at the bottom of the fuselage with a very sharp knife. I then put the motor back in place and held it there with a piece of super strong double-sided tape, and then put back the cutout piece, and to be honest, you can't really say something had gone wrong there. The second issue that actually worries me a bit more than the first is that the provided charger actually charged the supplied 1S battery up to 4.35 volts. This would be fine if this was a high voltage LiPo cell, but sadly neither the battery nor the charger claims such features, so I can only assume and hope that this is an issue with my unit only and other people will not experience such problems, as this has the potential to greatly reduce the lifespan of the battery. If you don't have a choice and need to use the provided charger, please make sure you don't store the plane with the battery fully charged. In any case, my recommendation would be to charge the battery with a more serious, preferably programmable charger. First, because it will take less time and you can regulate the charge voltage, and second, because you can probably get a few spare batteries, charge all of them at once and fly a lot, so you would more quickly feel comfortable enough to move on to a larger model. However, despite these two issues, they are more of a nuisance to address rather than a real problem, I still think this plane is a pretty good deal with the integrated stabilization and will definitely help a lot of beginners get into this hobby and into flying, because it makes it so easy in such a small package that is easy to carry around to your local park. So if you have liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and you could also follow me on Facebook for daily updates. Also, if you fancy any of the items featured here, please consider buying them via the links in the description below, as this will go a long way towards supporting this channel and would be greatly appreciated. Happy flying, and I will see you next time.